There's no difference between a hero and a coward in what they feel. It's what they do that makes them different. The hero and the coward feel exactly the same. But you have to have the discipline to do what a hero does and to keep yourself from doing what a coward does. That was a quote from Cus D'Amato, who was Mike Tyson's trainer. I want to talk about stage fright. Okay? What is stage fright? Stage fright is the mental state that prevents you from performing at your best ability. What does this fear come from? Why do we feel it? How do we get over it? Fear, another quote from Cus, fear is the greatest obstacle to learning, but fear is your best friend. If you learn to control it, you let it work for you. If you don't learn to control it, it'll destroy you and everything around you. Fear is like a fire. You can make it work for you or let it hurt you. Okay? So, a campfire. Fire is dangerous, but campfire, you can make food, provides heat, keeps the cold away, gives you warmth. Okay? So, why do we feel the fear? There's a couple of reasons. You've never experienced being on stage before. You're afraid of failure in front of strangers or people that you love or care about or people you want to impress. Maybe you haven't prepared. Like you don't think you've prepared well enough. Maybe you think the performance is too much. Maybe you think other people are just better than you, and then you need to do years and years of training to be able to get on a stage and play some chords and play some tunes. Perhaps, it's just, I don't know, boredom or maybe just procrastination. There's endless reasons to not do something. But there's only one way you can go on stage. It's if you actually go on stage. You actually make that decision to do that. So, one of my students, a former student of mine, came into my Twitch chat, and he basically said, "Hey, long time no chat. I just wanted to thank you for helping me overcome my stage fright, kind of." And I want to talk a little bit about that experience and maybe an experience I had with stage fright. I've had all kinds of stage fright experiences. I think now I look forward to having some fear, having feelings before a gig, because it's exciting. It's exciting to be able to play and to feel, like this, I think, is what I live for. I live for that kind of uncertain that it's going to go perfectly smooth. Like, I like learning new music. I like performing new music. I like to have new experiences. I like to be able to challenge myself and to perform with pressure. I think having a bigger audience helps me perform better. It's more exciting. I get more energy out of it because I want to just use that to my performance. So one of my former students, he was a really good guitar player. He knew his pentatonic scales, he knew major scale, he could play all these chords. He came in with a different song every week. He liked to Rush, he liked the Beatles. He would always ask for a different song, and it was almost like he had so much music that he wanted to learn, and he would practice on his own to be able to perform this stuff and to play. And it was just kind of like, but he never played in front of people, or at least I don't think he had much experience in playing in front of people. So he joined the adult band and of the school I was working at, School of Rock, and so we would jam and practice, and he would always bring in new songs, and they were like Pink Floyd and Rush, and these like 10-minute songs, and it was kind of like, all right, we need to come up with like a set list. And we're like, okay, next week we're gonna go to an open mic and play 3 songs. We're just gonna, we're gonna choose the songs and go. And he comes in next week and he's like kind of, dragging his feet a little bit, and he's like, yeah, I just don't know. I just don't know if I'm like ready or want to. And I'm like, you're one of my better students. Like, I don't know, like, you play just fine. Like, let's just commit and let's have fun. Let's practice a bit and see how you feel. And he was still just feeling like unsure. Like, I don't know. It's going to be late, it's going to be whatever. And I was like, well, we could just go and watch. We could just watch the other performers maybe. Nothing really was like, shaking him. Nothing really was like making him budge. And I think eventually me and the other teacher just asked him, so what would it take for you to get on stage? And he was like, well, I don't intend to play, but I want the band to like call me up on stage, and then they put a guitar around me, and that's when music happens. And that would be like the ideal scenario. And I was like thinking about it a little bit, and I was like, it's kind of unrealistic for a number of reasons. As cool as that is, like, I think that's a cool fantasy to, hey, we need somebody to save the show. It's happened before, right? Somebody slips on a banana peel and you got to jump in and save the show. Nobody knows you. That's kind of like for people that know each other, like famous people even, or like some planned thing or something. Like, nobody's going to just ask you to jump up and jam. Maybe a famous guitarist that has like a small section of his show and pick around the crowd of people, and you might be able to get up and play. But I was like, well, okay, here's the deal. We're a band. Me and this other teacher, we're a band. I play bass, he plays drums. We're down a guitar player, and we have these 3 songs we need to perform tonight. I want to know if you can come and play with us. We need you to save the show. And that kind of like convinced him. He's like, okay, all right, yeah, I'll come by. I'll play. And he played, and it went by real fast. He was like, wow, that just went by so fast. It was fine. I want to play again. So he like caught the bug after that performance. And it was a great show. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And I think he had this ideal of like a perfect show that he wanted to happen, and reality just doesn't happen that way. So like the expectation was off there. It was wrong. Okay, stage fright. Some personal experiences I've had with stage fright. Well, I mean, I've played so many shows. I've experienced it in different forms. I've had nerves, playing in front of people, whether it's, in front of like, maybe it's being taped. Maybe the show is being taped and they're like, hey, you better not mess up. It's being taped. And then you make all sorts of mistakes and it's like, I think the attitude is really important in dealing with stage fright. Even just performing in general. If you only got one gig and it's way out of the way or something, and like you just built up, this has to be the perfect gig, there's always going to be another gig. If you want to do this for a living, you're going to have thousands of gigs. So one mess up on one show, it's not going to end the world. It's not going to end your entire career. I mean, if you're trying your best, if you're doing your best to prepare, then you should be okay. You should be okay for the next time. You just have to take account of like, okay, this part here I didn't know as well, or this part here I kind of messed up. So something you can do. There's a couple things that'll throw people off. Preparation, okay? Sound check. Show up early. Show up early to the gig. Walk around the stage. If you're able to walk around the stage or be in the theater or the stage or whatever it is, walk around, get a sense of how it feels, sit down, take a deep breath, stretch a bit, do a little routine, warm up a little bit. Play through difficult passages. When I was in the orchestra pit, all the horn players and strings players, they would just go through the score and just kind of play through their parts, what they were going to play. They're probably sight readers and they probably only look at the music right then and there. Maybe they practice at home, I'm not really sure. But it's a good practice to just go through all the moves. Go through all those difficult moves. Fight choreography. You know, if you're in a stage play, you practice the move with your partner at slow speed, you know, a quarter speed, then half speed, then full speed, you know, and then you give exactly that amount of energy, no more, no less. That's how you practice it. Train like you fight. This was great advice that was given to me by one of my favorite teachers and instructors I worked with. He said, train like you fight. You practice how you're going to perform. You do the moves how you're going to do it on stage. You don't want to stray too far from that. You don't want to just like play half volume, half speed. You don't want to just kind of sit there sitting down and playing. You want to stand up and play. If you're in a rock show, stand up and play. Go through the moves. You know, start rocking out. Start getting on your knees. Start like doing choreography. You know, play around with that. You got to train like you fight. You got to practice with intention. So if you're sitting down and playing, and then the first time you ever stood up and play, you're probably going to feel the strap height is different. A great trick I heard from Billy Sheehan. He's one of the most famous bass players. Played with David Lee Roth and Steve Vai and everybody. He has his strap height the same when he's sitting down as standing up, so it doesn't really move any different. That's good advice. You know, it kind of, you want to replicate the same situation in the practice room as it is on stage. In your practice room, from rehearsal room to stage, you want all three of those to be very similar. You might not be familiar with sound, how it's going to sound in, you know, the theater. You might have wedges, you might have a tech, you might have somebody that is like doing 50 things all right before the show. So talk with your sound guy. If you can't hear yourself in your monitors, make sure it's comfortable for you. Take time to, you know, be able to do a little check like that. Sometimes you might not have enough time, and so that might add pressure where it's like, oh no, I can't hear myself. Little things like that to ground yourself is important, because if you can't hear yourself, if you can't hear the singer, if you can't hear a drummer or a bassist or whoever you need to hear, those situations where maybe you need to start the song or somebody else starts the song and you want to get on the right foot, this kind of communication is important. It's good to talk about it beforehand, and even, you know, talk with your band or your director, like, oh, I need like a 2 count, I need a 4 count for this song. This, you know, I need just like a tempo check. Can we just like, I don't know, bounce in rhythm for a second before the song? That's important. That'll kind of ground you so that you get off on the right foot. If you start a song well, that's giving you more time. You know, those are small wins that you should take. Regulate your breathing and stuff. I mean, I'm not going to talk about breathing. Of course, breathe. Take deep breaths and stuff like that to calm down, you know. A singer and actor I knew, he would listen to good music before the show. He would do a little meditation, a little bit of mindfulness, just to put him in a better mood. You know, he had to play like a happy-go-lucky character in the show. And, you know, he was doing all sorts of rituals like that before the show. I think that's good, you know, whether you're working out or doing pumps or whatever, you know, jumping jacks or whatever you need to do. Stretches. I like to move a lot. I like to do stretches. I like to, you know, psych myself up. That's fun. I tend to do things I haven't practiced on stage. I like to be spontaneous, but I've got a lot of practice doing that. So I just end up just throwing everything out the water and throwing everything at the wall. Let's see. So there was a moment, I remember I was playing in Colorado. It was for a show, Rock of Ages, and I was playing More Than Words on guitar. All through rehearsal, perfectly fine. Played through totally fine. Knew the song, knew the part of this, you know, when it happens, everything was fine. And I think complacency got the best of me, and it ended up giving me stage fright. So for the rest of the run, which was like a month-long production, and we performed a lot, up until like the very last performance, I beat it. More Than Words. Okay, so I started the song. It was going fine. And then I had a lapse in judgment. I forgot where I was in the song, and I made a mistake. And it's just me and the female vocalist. And she just continued on professionally just fine. I lost my mind. And just like, it was after the show, I was like, man, I messed up so bad. Like, it was like opening day of the show. I was like, man, it just played so bad. Nobody even caught it. Nobody really mentioned. Maybe it was just the music director. Everybody was like, you should have just strummed chords, It's like nothing really. And I was like, okay. And I like went home. I went over the part. I was like, what did I mess up? And every time I got to that part to play More Than Words, I just froze up. I played it fine through the rest of the run, but I just froze up at that moment because I knew, I was like, I put a lot of pressure on myself to play it correctly from then on forward. And I just got so scared. I got like a mental block. It was just like, oh man, I wasn't focusing for a split second, and it messed up a performance. I thought it wasn't that big of a deal. The rest of the show was fine, but that was like a moment that just like really stuck out in my mind. Like, oh man, I never want to have that happen again. That was awful. And so I just, every time, deep breath, everything, nothing really was working. Like, my blood just got cold, and it was just hard to move. The rest of the show was fluid. I was fine. I was playing great. More Than Words froze up every time. And that was a strange moment. I don't know if you ever had an experience like that, where songs that are easy to you, suddenly you messed up on a show, and then it like threw you off for the rest of the run. So I don't know. I'm curious about that. So fear, you can work with this. This can help you. This can propel you to become a better musician and performer. Everybody feels it. They're lying if somebody tells you they're not. It's like exposure therapy. The more spider webs you run through, you're gonna be less scared of spiders, which that's a lie. I've run through a lot of spider webs. I still hate it. Anyway, yeah, exposure. So the more gigs you play, I think you get more experience. So give yourself as many experiences as you can. That'll teach you a lot faster than just simply playing in a practice or a rehearsal room. Go over your part, go early, talk with the sound guy, make sure you can kind of replicate a little bit of what you can hear. Find the most important parts to get you grounded for the song. The songs that like you need to start, or somebody else starts and you have audio cues that you need to listen for. And after your show, just take note of what you need to improve. Also have fun during the show. It's not that big of a deal. Music's supposed to be fun. This is an escape for people. And you got a great opportunity to play for people and bring them joy and entertain and inspire and express art to them. So take advantage of that. It's a great gift that you get to do this, Having joy in the moment too, even if it's hard, the songs are tough. Take the moment to enjoy it while you're playing. That'll make the experience much better. And I think that'll ease some of the tensions. So, band communication, have fun. These are my tips for stage fright, helping stage fright. Stuff that I gave to my students that I think have helped them perform and give them a little bit more satisfaction out of the performance. I'm Ross Dixon Ellis. I'm a musician from Virginia. Check out my Patreon. I teach lessons. I'm going to TWITCHCON this year. So I just bought tickets. Use my referral code in the description. And check out my Twitch stream at Ross Dixon Ellis. You can follow me on all my socials. You can get all my info down there. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.